Welcome to my parlor. Welcome, traveler, to the Hidden Corner Finds. I am Joanne, and this is my humble store. Pull up a chair, stay a while, make yourself at home. What? Oh, you want to know what I'm selling? Everything and anything. In short, I have a passion for people. Ugh, why did it just bleep me? All I said was I have a passion for picking, I said. Yeesh. You can't say anything on YouTube these days without this censorship. Anyways, as I was saying, I have a passion for picking. For me, there is nothing more satisfying than finding a unique and forgotten item and uniting it with someone who will really appreciate it for years to come. Whether it's a soapstone carving, an old book, or simply a mug to make you laugh, I try and find something for everyone. My goal is to make you a confident buyer. Older items often have a lifetime of stories to tell. I strive to describe the good as well as the bumps and bruises they've experienced along the way. It's important that the pictures reflect what you will receive. To that end, I always encourage questions and will do my best to respond as quick as possible. Appreciate you stopping by the store. If you can't find what you're looking for, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'm always looking for new ideas and will keep an eye out for your item in my travels. Honey, what the happened to my action figure collection? Oops, gotta go. Bye.
And welcome back to Toy Thursday with Johnny Tiger on July 18, 2024. We got a new lapel microphone, so hopefully this is sounding better than before. And I am looking forward to trying this out for Fitness Friday and self-defense videos because if this works, then that means no more bulky headset. Yay. So opening the show, we have my first ever Storm Collectibles action figure, Mr. Sagat from Street Fighter. Sagat was my holy grail for the longest time. You can say for almost 20 years, so that's a heck of a long time. And he was released by Storm Collectibles a couple of years ago, about 6 years ago, I think. Uh, and sorry, throat is still a bit wonky. To some people, buying action figure is a luxury. To some action figure collectors, there are some action figures that you only get as luxury items, and for me, Storm Collectibles is in that category. Getting a Storm Collectibles action figure for me is like the equivalent of going to a fancy $100 steakhouse in action figure collecting. So today we're going to look at a high-end Storm Collectibles action figure. Yeah, I know. Some people say, "Oh, Storm Collectibles not high-end. We buy $300 or $400 action figures." Well, goody for you. For me, anything over $60 is getting into high-end category, and anything over $100 is like getting really high-end category. And Storm Collectibles usually hovers around the $70 to $100 mark. And the figure we are going to look at today, the Orochi action figure from King of Fighters '98. It's weird why they say it's from '98 because I remember Orochi from King of Fighter '97. But anyway, it's from King of Fighter. It's the basically the big bad, the final boss, the god who want to kill everybody. So we are going to look at Orochi today, and Orochi coming at a whopping 130, 140 US dollar. Is he worth it? Really? Well, we'll find out together. Before we get to our working station, let's check out the box, the packaging, and all that good stuff. The first thing that I noticed when I got this out of the shipping box was, holy shit, this is a big box. Like, it's almost as big as my upper torso, and The figure itself is not that big, but it came with something really large inside. It's a $140, so I'm glad that it's a sizable box. Just holding this box makes me feel so much better. Inside the box, everything comes in two trays. The top tray holds the figure and hand. The back tray holds the huge item I talked about. There's also a nice backdrop that simulates the stage that you fight Orochi in the original video game. So, who is Orochi? Other than being this shirtless, good-looking, muscular guy who was like uh, the dream of a lot of men, women alike. A guy who is tall and muscular with white hair and this. What the heck do you even call this hairstyle? I mean, this. Oh, my bangs are so long they cover my face, and I'm so cool, and my hair have to be kind of messy in the back and spiky. What do you call what do you even call this hairstyle? I know a lot of people, especially people who like anime and manga and stuff like that. They think this look is so cool. Personally, I think it's really stupid. Like I feel that this kind of hairstyle, other than not being realistic, just doesn't even look comfortable. Like, I don't know any of you ever try to wear this hairstyle. My younger brother tried it before, and it's both ridiculous and uncomfortable, right? Having your bangs just hovering in front of your eyes and nose, and I mean, when you're not moving, it's fine, but when there's movement and wind and breeze, yeah, it's not pretty. It's not. It doesn't work like in video games. But hey, Orochi is a god. Yeah, I mean, doesn't he look like a god? I mean, if I have body like that, I think I'm a god too, right? Um, talk about the body of a Greek god. I mean, this is one of those examples. I mean, I like my characters to be thicker and bigger, but as far as skinny guys go, he's pretty buff. He's got a really good proportion. Front to back, I find that he's a little bit narrow. Uh, let's put his arm down. So front to back, I think he can stand to be slightly thicker, but uh, this is a good-looking body. And where did that hand go? There we go. Sometimes this is one thing that we will talk about as a problematic with not just this figure, but with some Storm collectible figures, is things fall off rather easily. So turning him around, look at that beautiful back. Okay, that is a pretty boy. That is like the Justin Trudeau of action figures. Okay, maybe not, but anyway. Um, so who is Orochi? Um, Long story short, because it can get really complicated, and most people who play video game already know who Orochi is. People who don't play video game, you are going to get really confused and bored if I go into the entire thing. So I'm going to abbreviate it. Suffice to say, in the King of Fighter video game universe, there is a god, and this god is basically the defender of the Mother Earth herself. This god doesn't have a gender. It's asexual, basically. It can be either gender. It's non-binary. Okay. This god's name is Orochi. 1800 years ago, Orochi finally decided that humans should be wiped from the face of the earth because human activities is destroying the earth. Our pollution, our sin, our war, we are destroying the earth. So the only way to protect Mother Earth is to wipe humans from the face of the earth. So Orochi set out and formed a huge group of followers and tried to eradicate people. And of course, when you do that, when you want to wipe humans from the face of the earth, there's always heroes who want to oppose you. So three different clans rose up and worked together and sealed Orochi away, because Orochi is a god. You cannot kill a god. You can only banish them from this reality. So Orochi waited for 1800 years before finally being summoned back by his modern day followers, and he became the final boss of the King of Fighter 97 video game. Now, some of you will immediately say, "Oh, I thought you say he's not gender specific. He's non-binary. Definitely look like a guy, a very good-looking, muscular guy, but definitely look like a guy." Well, it's because Orochi didn't have enough power to get its own body this time around. So the only way for Orochi to be summoned back into this world was to use someone as host. So if he used a female, he would look like if it used a female, it would look like a she. If it used a male body, it would turn into a he. And in this case, it used one of its followers called Chris. Chris in the video game was a young boy, an innocent young boy who was one of the followers of Orochi. And in the end of the game, Chris's friends, Yoshiro and Shermie, they sacrificed themselves to give the energy to Chris, so Chris could summon Orochi into his body, and doing so transformed him from being a young boy into being an adult boy, and he's got white hair and a lot of muscles and mad god power, and he's proceeded to try to wipe a human from this existence. Uh, that's basically the idea of Orochi. So Orochi is an ancient god who want to eradicate human. Now, interesting enough, when you really think about it, he's like Captain Planet. His whole thing is to save this planet. Like it's just the way it's decided to save the planet is a little bit extreme, but when you really consider that, Orochi is not an evil god. He's not wanting to destroy people for the sake of pleasure or stuff like that. It really is doing what it's made to do, which is protect Mother Earth. And it's doing it by how it sees best. So there we have it. That is the idea, the story of Orochi, this godly, good-looking guy. I'm just going to keep waxing this good-looking part because that's basically what Orochi is all about. It's just a really good-looking, shirtless guy. He's eye candy and he's also hand candy. I used the term hand candy before when I talked about high-end action figures that move so smoothly that you just keep wanting to mess with them and move their joints. And yeah, this guy, like many Storm collectible guys, it just the joints move so nicely and so smoothly uh, that you can get him into a lot of really cool poses and he balanced gorgeously. Uh, it's just a fun figure to mess around with. Now, if this is all he is, just a nice articulated figure, he stands just about 8 inches tall, so he's quite tall, but he's definitely not very bulky. He's got this, how shall we say, uh, Batman kind of build. I always when I come across characters that built like this, I always say it's like to me that's like a Batman or slightly smaller than a Batman build. So that kind of tall, lanky, muscular, really toned build. Uh, but all this wouldn't make this be a $140 action figure. There got to be more, right? So we are going to jump over and look at articulation and accessories before we come back, and I'll talk more about if I think this is worthwhile being a $140 action figure and why did I get this action figure despite it being so expensive. Like most Storm collectible action figures, this figure comes with a lot of hands. There's a whopping total of 7 pairs of hands, counting the ones that came with the figure. The fisted hand, palm hand, claw hand, anything you can have. There's also 2 head options, one with the eyes closed, like he's summoning his power. The hair on these heads also can come off and be swapped. And there's a little fireball effect and a gigantic flaming aura. That is the reason why this box is so big. Honestly, this giant aura is almost enough material there to make 3 more action figures. Even though it is hollow inside, it has a base attached to it with a clamp that can hold the figure up in the air like it's floating. It stands 13 inches tall and it's 7 inches wide, and yeah, it's really big. There's also 2 pairs of arms that you can attach to the figure. There's 4 arms on each side to simulate its multiple arms attack effect. Really cool. Like most Storm collectibles action figures, this Orochi action figure is really well balanced and well articulated. There are some joints that don't work as well as they should because of the size of the muscles, obviously, but he can stand balanced on one leg for a lot of kicking poses without even needing a display stand. I mean, isn't that ironic? The guy comes with one of the coolest display stands of all time, but he doesn't really need it. He can stand just fine on 2 legs or 1 leg. So, do I really feel that Pretty Boy here is worth $140? Maybe not, but you can't tell me that you look at him in this full god mode with his 10 arms stretching out and floating off the ground on his giant flaming aura display. You can't tell me that when you see this, you don't feel that, okay, maybe 140 is not too bad. I mean, it's a really damn impressive. Like, this display base he comes with is a giant flame aura. Is probably the most impressive looking display piece in my entire collection, and my collection is pretty big. So for this to be the most impressive looking display base in my whole collection is quite something. Okay, um, now I will say I I'm very specifically saying that this is the most impressive looking, but not probably not the best. Okay, why is it not the best? Because I feel that uh, for the one thing, let me take him off the display base for a second, and then I'll show you guys. Now, this display base is actually 2 pieces. There's the actual stand that you can probably pull out from the bottom. So there's a actual stand with a clamp that will hold him off the ground. Okay, and this is adjustable too. You can adjust the height of this top piece anyway, just a little bit, but you can adjust the height and the angle. Um, they even give you an extra clip just in case you break it, right? Right? And then this giant piece that holds it together, there's the flame and the aura. This is, if you can see the bottom, this is a hollow. This is all hollow plastic. Okay, this is one reason why I say it is the most impressive looking, but not the best, because it looked good, but I see a real missed opportunity here. I like display bases to both look good and be functional. Okay? For example, let me quickly grab it because I have it right beside me here. We looked at this we looked at this display piece from the Anubis, right? This is also one of the really good display pieces. Now, this actually open, and you can put all the hands and other stuff inside, right? That, to me, makes a good display base, right? One that you can use not only for the figure to look good, but it's functional. I feel that when you make a giant flaming aura like this, with so much room underneath, you could have at least put a lid or something on the bottom so we can put his gazillions of hands in there, so I don't need to use the Ziploc bag to put those hands in. So that's one reason why I say, even though this is very impressive looking, I do see a problem with it. Right, it's not functional, other than making him look really good. This display base also is really large, right? It's 13 inches tall and like 7 inches wide and 6 inches deep. Takes up a lot of real estate on your shelf. So this is something that you got to take into consideration, that if you don't have a lot of clearance on your shelf, this thing is going to be a space hog. Space hog. Wasn't there a character called Space Hog? I don't know. Anyway, so that is the gripe I have with the display base. Uh, it's really great looking. Like you can use this flaming aura for all kind of power characters, like Dragon Ball Z, Saint Seiya, Yu Yu Hakusho, anything that require this like big energy spike when a character is powering up. This is really good for that. It make uh, for great visual effect, I imagine. What do I know about visual effect? So talk about Pretty Boy here himself. Now I have the extra arms attached. Okay, let me just say this. Please warm up your figure before you try to do this. How you attach the arm is you got to rip off, you got to pull off his arm and then attach these extra arms on the shoulder and then clip the arm back on. Okay, the first time I did this, it's a very traumatizing experience. I was saying like I had a kitten on the phone with me when I did this, and after I did it, I said to her, "I'm never going to change this guy's arm ever again." Now, of course, I since overcame my fear, and I did it several times, and now I can do it like a pro. But it's nerve wracking. Okay, when you're trying to pull the arms off of a $140 action figure, and it's not the easiest thing to do. It it's scary, right? And when you finally pull it off, the little pieces, there's two little rings. Let me show you guys. The two little rings here that fit inside the shoulder joint, like kind of McFarlane Toys style. When you pull the arm off, be careful because these things will go flying, and if they fall behind the couch or stuff like that, it's really hard to find. Uh, and then you have to use a lot of force to push the arm back on with all those multiple arms attached. It's just not a fun experience. Like it was traumatizing to do. And every time you need to do this, you got to use a hair dryer. Otherwise, if you don't heat this up, you're just going to break your figure, your $140 figure. Okay, so that part is not fun. Now these extra arms, they look impressive, but again, for a $140 action figure, I think they should have been articulated. Okay, these things are not articulated; they're stuck in that position, in whatever position they're in. Now, where they attach to the joint, you can kind of waggle them and swivel them like this, right? But they're always sticking out to the side. the way they are. So they can't move. Uh, Seriously, like no, you charge us $140 for action figures that have these cool extra arms, and they have no articulation. You can't even be bothered with like wrist joints or elbow joints. Um, that's lame. Okay, that's lame. I think that's another gripe I have with this figure is the extra arms have no articulation to them. One last gripe I have with this figure, and this is not just with this figure, this is with almost every Storm collectible figure I have ever handled, is the soft torso, the soft chest. Okay, on the female figure, this would sound totally wrong. But here, let me show you guys in case you don't know what I'm talking about. It's a torso. It's squishy. Okay, it's hollow inside. It's like hollow rubber shell. Uh, and this is so annoying because when you're posing the figures, a lot of times what's going to happen is the this is going to happen. Okay, look at this. The torso is going to come over the belt, and this soft rubber torso is not going to line up properly. You have to finagle it like crazy to try to get it under the pants. Otherwise, he look like he's fat and he got like love handles hanging off the side. And this happened to the shoulder as well. So a lot of time when you're posing these figures, even though they are great to pose, uh, they are frustrating because they always got that little bit of extra rubber flesh overhanging the joint and getting caught by the joint, and you're so scared of ripping them because they're not that thick. Uh, like I don't know. Like I guess it's cost saving, but I am not a big fan of these soft rubber torsos. I think they're horrible. Um, So those are my basic problem with this figure. With all that said, it's a hell of a good figure, right? I mean, look at it again, right? This, he almost looks like an angel hovering there on his flaming aura with all those arms almost looking like wings. And he is a pretty boy. He's a great figure, right? Maybe, in my opinion, not $140 worth, but definitely would have been a good deal at $110, right? 120 maybe, but not quite at the $140 mark. Um, so I want to talk a little bit about why I got this figure, despite being so expensive. And honestly, the design of Orochi in this form doesn't appeal to me, uh, because in the end, he's a very simple design. He's a good-looking guy with muscles and shirtless, and he got white hair, and he got some giant flaming face. That's basically his saving grace. But the basic design, honestly, is quite boring. Um, for me, the nostalgic value of this guy is tremendous because when I was a teenager, King of Fighter was one of my favorite video game. My favorite video game before Soul Calibur, before Tekken, it was King of Fighter. Other people like Killer Instinct. Other people like Mortal Kombat. Other people like Street Fighter. For me, it was always King of Fighter. And I remember the many hours of being so frustrated and wanted to throw the PlayStation out the window because this guy, this Orochi, was a bitch. Okay, SNK bosses, the bosses in Fatal Fury and King of Fighter games, they were bitches. They were like so difficult to defeat, especially for a blind guy. Yeah, we'll talk about how a blind guy was able to play video game in another video, but uh, yeah, I hated him with a passion. So when I saw that Stone Collectible was making Orochi, I knew I have to own this guy because he symbolizes so much frustration and joy and fun and moments of my childhood. This is a nod to my childhood. This is for me. Uh, a lot of time when I get other action figures, it's like there's hardly any emotional connection to it. But this is one of those action figures that I got him purely because I knew there's a lot of emotional connection and memory attached to this figure. Now, before we end this video, we'll look at some comparison shots. Now, when you look at this figure on its own, he doesn't look very big because he's so well proportioned. But when you mix him in with other fighting game action figures such as the 7-inch Mortal Kombat from McFarlane or the 6-inch Street Fighter from Sota, suddenly he seems big enough to be a god, definitely. Like Chun-Li looked like a little girl next to him, and it's not until you put Sagat in there that he finally met his match. So yeah, he's a really good sized guy. Thank you for checking out this episode, guys. I'll be back again tomorrow for some fitness video. For now, take care. Bye.